It's no secret that sex sells. Stellar Blade punches you in the face with its provocative style and sexy protagonist. This decision has been the primary topic for Shift Up's first outing into the gaming market. But what's beauty without substance? Thankfully, Stellar Blade isn't just eye candy. It tells a story that science fiction fans will be very familiar with, playing on the themes of life, God, and what makes us human. Although this has been done many times before, just like any other great tale, it's more about how you deliver the story rather than the destination that you're headed. Stellar Blade is written in a way where you are left guessing what will happen next, rather than it being so obvious that all mystery is lost. Sure, by the end you are left with more questions than answers, but the journey itself was satisfying and a fun experience. Same goes for Stellar Blade's gameplay. The game may come across like a Souls-like, but it's an illusion. Outside of the lock-on camera angle, this game plays more like Devil May Cry if it was more designed for one-on-one battles. Eve has a handful of combos with modifiers for each. She has 4 special beta moves that do more damage than normal attacks at the cost of energy, and later you will unlock burst attacks that do even more damage and are very over the top. Eve even gets a transformation mode similar to Devil Trigger where she takes no health damage while being extremely dangerous to all around her. Range combat, however, is more situational. Unless you're in the horror themed zones throughout the story, you will rarely use range combat. Defense consists of blocking, dodging, and parrying. Parrying can be tricky to time, but with practice you should get the hang of it. That should become easier as you fight the same enemies as they all have a limited moveset that is fun to learn and exploit. This goes for boss fights as well. The bosses will do the same moves every time in the same order, and while this sounds boring, it's really not. The frustration people find in Souls games is that the bosses may have a move list, but it seems random when they decide to do a specific move. Stellar Blade lacks this annoyance by removing the randomness, and it plays more like a classic NES game, which is refreshing to me. Every battle lost, I felt like I learned something new to help me for the next round. Because I wasn't surprised by some random attack that looks like another attack that only has 10% chance of happening, so I'll never really learn how to deal with it. There is one minor negative aspect to the combat system. Some moves didn't feel like they consistently worked. For example, there's a move called Blink, which is a special dodge that only works when you hold forward and dodge at a specific time. Many times, if I didn't completely stand still, then input the buttons, it wouldn't register. Which sucks for obvious reasons, but also it looks really cool when you're able to continue to attack, then pull off a blink. There's another move that works the same way. After a parry or a dodge, if you have enough burst energy, you can do one of these powerful counterattacks that require you to press 2 buttons. Again, it works best if you don't press anything but those buttons, and I suggest you wait a few seconds so the game forgets your previous inputs. Otherwise, the move may not register. Overall, Stellar Blade's combat is damn near perfect. Coming from a game like Rise of the Ronin that had a lot of potential but poor execution, Stellar Blade, especially for Shift Up's first game, hands down delivers a combat system that honestly doesn't need to change much if we get a sequel. All they need to do is iron out the minor issues, and this is a formula I wouldn't mess with. Beyond combat, there are RPG elements that do factor into your playstyle. Gear can be equipped on Eve that alters your primary way of play. I stayed with the build that focused on combo damage, high critical chances, and high critical damage. I also added gear to make parrying and dodging a bit more forgiving, but when I say a bit more, I really mean it. You can play however you wish, as the game even has gear that focuses on less practical ways of play, which I want to test to see if it's actually more useful than it seems. Admittedly, not until the last 3 bosses did I change up my style to be more defensive, but that's due to how those bosses worked. There are also many side quests to earn rewards and to learn about side characters and events. You can customize Eve, which I did throughout my entire playthrough. Shift Up had an opportunity to nickel and dime us with microtransactions for these outfits, but instead they gave us tons of them for free in-game. If you aren't into Eve showing some skin, there are fully clothed options, but that's not going to stop Eve from looking like a supermodel. A lot of these outfits you will find exploring the different regions in the world, with 2 big deserts you can roam in. Collecting cans, solving puzzles, and fishing are all side activities that are fun and engaging. If there was any complaint, it would come from the need to use the game's Witcher vision. I found myself constantly tapping the scan button to see things in the environment that honestly blends in without using this feature. Hopefully Stellar Blade 2 could change its colors a bit so we could easily see these objects better. Lastly, there's a new game plus with more gear, outfits, stronger bosses, and there's other endings you could get. They've also recently updated Stellar Blade with a new boss rush mode, but where is photo mode? Stellar Blade is sexy, mysterious, and wild. It also challenges the player with its combat, pulls on your sensitive side with its story and characters, and marks the birth of a new Sony franchise that delivered beyond my imagination. Stellar Blade was originally called Project Eve, and the creator wanted to emphasize on the female figure, which we can definitely see throughout the game and through the online discourse. But the substance of a woman was also firmly embedded in Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade is more than it seems. Its beauty is more than skin deep, and its first impression was so great, I'm already looking forward to the future.
Oh my! Over there! That's the real Alpha.